Back to the Lakers we go. Stephen A. Smith joining us now from Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles. All right, Steve, so much going into this game as it relates to LeBron and also the Lakers themselves trying to make the playoffs. From where you stand, your perspective, what's your biggest takeaway from what you saw in this game tonight?
Well, that it's over. The Lakers season is over. It's official tonight. I mean, in my eyes, they lost this game to the Los Angeles Clippers. They needed to win this game. They're now 4 games under 500. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They can't shoot. They turn over the ball too much. Can't hit free throws. Don't have anybody to close. And that's simply a recipe for disaster. And it's all existing on the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, LeBron James had his numbers tonight, but shot about 66% from the free throw line. That's been an Achilles heel for him this season. That was clearly the case tonight. They were rolling early, and then JaVale McGee ran into Montrezl Harrell, who came into the game off the bench and completely abused them. So much so that you had LeBron James and Rondo and those guys just rolling their eyes at him because he looked that pathetic defensively before ultimately being relegated to the bench by Coach Luke Walton. He tried to throw a bunch of guys at Harrell and the boys. It wasn't going to matter. The Clippers just seemed too big, too physical at times. They clamped it down on the Lakers a little bit when it counted most. And again, the Lakers didn't have anybody to close. Keep in mind, they're a bottom 3 team in the league in three-point shooting. They're dead last in free throw shooting. So you can't hit free throws. You can't hit three-point shots because you shot 26% tonight from the three-point range. And then, oh, by the way, you can't defend. How you going to win games?
You know, Stephen, the Laker fans are prideful fan base, but they're also extremely optimistic, and they think their team is always in it until the very, very end. What sense did you get inside Staples Center? Yeah, go ahead.
Let me stop you right there. The optimism is gone. Sitting in here in this arena, listen to the fans screaming at LeBron, listen to the fans screaming at the Lakers. There is no optimism. Any optimism that existed, it went right out the window. It's on the 405 or the 110 now. I'm trying to tell you right now. It ain't in this building. So any optimism that you're talking about that exists with the Los Angeles Lakers, you must be getting it from Bristol, Connecticut or someplace else.
Steve,
it
hold
damn
on.
sure ain't
Steve,
in L.A.
Are you saying that Laker fans were heckling LeBron James in Staples Center?
I'm saying that after the Lakers lost the game and he and others was walking off the court, they were screaming at him. They were screaming at the Lakers. They're not happy with what they saw, and I don't blame them. It wasn't his fault necessarily. He got his numbers, but in the end, they don't have the horses. They don't have guys that can make shots. They don't have the appropriate level of size. They're not rebounding. The Lakers fans have been forced to look at this roster and come to the uncomfortable conclusion that they're simply not good enough. They were rolling until he got hurt. LeBron got hurt on Christmas Day. They were the number 4 seed in the Western Conference. He goes down for 18 games. We know what happens. He's been back ever since. We see what has happened. They have lost faith in this team. They're 4 games under 500. They're 5.5 games out of a playoff spot. The Clippers, devoid of any stars whatsoever. Tell me one star on the Clippers. They're non-existent, but they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're probably going to go to the playoffs. So the Clippers, led by Doc Rivers, devoid of stars, no CP3, no Blake Griffin, no DeAndre Jordan. They're going to the playoffs, but LeBron James in the purple and gold for the Lakers brand is going home unless a miracle happens. And I'm not one that's really inclined to believe in miracles.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
It's one thing for the Lakers to miss the playoffs last 5 seasons, but for their fans to start heckling their own players and someone like LeBron James, that says a lot. That speaks to the optimism being devoid there in that arena. Stephen A. Smith, appreciate the perspective, man.
No problem.
Team to 105 earlier Monday evening. Danilo Gallinari led the way with 23 points on 9 of 15 from the field and added 6 rebounds as well. Now, entering the matchup, LeBron James needed 40 total points to pass Michael Jordan on the NBA's all-time scoring list. He dropped 27, and now he's ready to address the media.
You say you're limping a little bit in the middle of the game. What happened?
I got hit below the waist.
Related to the groin that you had at Christmas or something different?
No, I got hit in the family juice.
What do you think swung this game the Clippers' way?
They just had more energy at the end. I mean, for us, we basically played 6 guys. I mean, we played 8, but those were limited minutes for 2 other guys. B.I. being out, obviously the injuries is taking a toll on us. I thought defensively we were pretty dang on good under the circumstances, but offensively we just couldn't make a shot.
How hard is it mentally to come back when, another guy goes down in the middle of fourth and Kuz has to limp off?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Not only for the ball club, but for the individual himself. I know how much work Kuz put into, taking care of his body and just trying to be available to his teammates. And to see him roll his ankle on a non-contact play, it was definitely tough.
You get here and you learn what Brandon can play. I mean, does it just seem like this season it's been one thing after another?
Yeah, pretty much. Haven't been a part of the season with this ton of injuries to all our key guys, to big key guys. And it's just the way the season has been. And we've had guys step up. Josh stepped up in his absence tonight. It was great to see Josh play well again. But for us, we kind of prided ourselves on our depth to start the season, how we can be very good, with our first unit and our second unit. And obviously our depth has dwindled over the course of weeks because of our injuries.
You played so many minutes over the last 4 days. How are you feeling?
Just as tired as I would after any game. No difference. I think that back-to-back was tough on all of us, the Milwaukee Phoenix thing. So, that Sunday, pretty much I didn't do anything. I was just trying to let my body recover. So, just try to get my body ready for the night as well. So, obviously, I'm starting the treatment process right now to get ready for Wednesday. We got one of the best teams in the league coming in our building, Wednesday in Denver. So, I have to mentally and physically prepare myself.
LeBron, with all the injuries, with the tough losses that you guys have suffered, do you start to think that the playoffs aren't a reality for this team?
Listen, you keep playing to the end and see what happens, at the end of the day. So, I've been talking about it for a while now. Everyone's been talking about the postseason. We need to worry about each and every game and how we can continue to get better with our process and get better with our team. So, obviously, at the end of the year, the chips will fall where they may, and you'll see where you're at.
Outside of the injuries, post All-Star break, because that was kind of the time for the national reset, are there things that you point to that, outside of just the win-loss, that haven't gone the way you expected to?
We don't win or loss league, and that's what it's all about. We've had positive, we've had a lot of negative, obviously, as far as our play. But at the end of the day, you're in a result league. Your results is how many wins you can accumulate, and throughout the course of the season. So, you take the good with the bad, and you just keep pushing forward.
When this team reaches the point where the playoffs aren't realistic or are mathematically eliminated, what do you kind of expect guys to bring in their approach to each game, each practice, and do you expect the same kind of motivation?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know. For me personally, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody else. I'll continue to be the professional and be as great as you can be every single night, no matter the circumstances, because someone is always watching.
With all the different situations you've been through in your career and coming back in one of the greatest finals ever, is this even different for you to coach the team through or talk to the team about?
Every year is different. Every single year. This is my 16th year, so every year has been different throughout my whole career. So, and I knew coming to this year that it'd be different from the previous year and the previous year before that. So, you take the challenge and you continue to stay positive no matter what's going on throughout it all and keep your head high. And like I said, you keep pushing forward. At the end of the day, if you give everything to the game individually and you commit to the team and you feel like you're doing your job at the highest level that you can do, then you can sleep well at night.
Last question,
LeBron,
please.
kind of with the fact that you have more years. This is a multi-year thing for you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a point with the playoffs getting increasingly out of reach where it doesn't make sense for you to play the 42 minutes, or kind of where are you at physically, and kind of with your mindset about how much you're on the floor?
Well, that's a conversation that will probably be had between me and Luke. And going forward, I don't know what the what's going on as far as that with the postseason, things of that nature. So I felt like this was definitely a game that we needed tonight for obvious reasons. There's a team that we were chasing. We didn't take care of business. So, you kind of look at the rest of the games and look at the percentages of what's going on here in the future and see what makes more sense, for not only me but for the team itself as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it.
This is a man that has been in the playoffs for 13 straight seasons.
Is that a lot? That seems like a lot.
That is. Where were you when LeBron last missed the playoffs? I was in 11th grade.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm nauseated now.
I was actually covering the league then, covering a team that had no better chance at making the playoffs than the Lakers do right now. I was covering an Atlanta Hawks team that won 13 games.
I can make it worse. Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball were 7. 7.
Well, look, let's be clear here. There was a sense in a tone of resignation in LeBron's voice. He understands the reality of what they're facing now as well, like we've all been watching, looking at the calendar, looking at the metrics of, what has to happen for this team to make the playoffs. Now the conversation becomes real, the one he alluded to that he's going to have with Luke Walton at some point. When do you subtract LeBron from this situation? Because it's only going to get messier as the days go by, the games continue to transpire where they're not successful, and their playoff math eliminates them from contention. Now it's going to be about what's the smart thing to do to pull the plug on LeBron's season.
So we're 65 games into the season, so let's call this 87% of the precincts reporting. They're not making the playoffs. And the resignation you heard in his voice, a LeBron who believed they were making the playoffs, when the reporter asked, what do you expect from this group once you're out of the playoffs, says, we will be in the playoffs.
Right.
That's not what he said. He said, I don't know. And it's because of what you said. He hasn't been in this situation for 13 years. He doesn't know what to expect. And the thing that I think is the most striking to me about their situation, the greatest players of all time, historically, when you look at all of them across the expanse of their careers, none of them bell curve in and out of their greatness. The truly great players sort of hit a brick wall and it's over.
Yeah.
And you've seen LeBron look fallible this year for the first time. You've seen his body really start to look 34 years of age with all the miles it has on it. So there's no doubt in my mind that the instant you possibly can, you pull the plug to protect him. Because if you're going to win championships in the window that LeBron has left, he dictates outcome, and a fully healthy LeBron is the only chance you have to do that.
What's the best case scenario then for these young Lakers as they finish this season? Is it simply to stay healthy? Is it to finish the season with some pride? What do you see as the best case for these guys who are getting experience?
Well, you turn them loose. I mean, there needs to be some positive energy for them. Kuzma, we'll see what his injury does and how long he potentially out. X-ray is reportedly negative. So, but it's really about, and that's a great word, finishing with pride. Because the expectation was so great on Christmas Day. These guys get a big win over the Warriors. You're in fourth place in the Western Conference standings. You can't help but your mind go to what we can accomplish this year as a group, and then it's all snatched away with that one injury. So
yeah,
it's tough because now Luke Walton has to do some of his damage control. His job is now to do the best job of damage control he can do over the course of these next 6 weeks. The questions are only going to get uglier. The mood is only going to get more and more resigned to the fact that this was not the successful season everybody thought it could be in LA.
Well, I think the first thing you do is you hope that Brandon Ingram is healthy. Because what we've seen from him the last month of the season is exactly what the Lakers needed to see. And if you're buying stock on young players in this league, you're buying Brandon Ingram. Yeah. He's just now starting to grow into his body. And because he is, and he's starting to feel himself having the strength and balance he needs, he's starting to show a little swagger out there. Their first 4 possessions of the last game he played in, he just went at it. There was no hesitation in him whatsoever. He recognized in that instant he could do what he wanted to do on a basketball court. And that level of dominance in his own mind is critical. So if I'm the Lakers the rest of the way, with a healthy Brandon Ingram, I ride him and see as far as he can take you. You make him be in a situation where he's asked to carry the load. Let's see if you can win basketball games right now. Because if he can't, that's okay. But if he can and he can deliver in that circumstance, you've done 2 things. You've given yourself a much better asset for the future, but you've also maybe raised his trade value if that's what you're still trying to do.
We're going to be back with more highlights as Game Night Monday continues after this break. Game Time, presented by Kia. Again, more next. All right, guys.
It's brutal.
I can tell by your faces. You all know where we're going with this. The Lakers now have 18 games left. Is there enough time? Is there a chance?
Sure, there's enough time and there's a chance if they're playing really well and gelling and moving in the right direction. Brandon Ingram not playing tonight was an enormous loss. It made it so that the Clippers could defend LeBron, typically with only a point guard, sometimes using a center here and there. But they didn't need to put their biggest wing on LeBron. They were able to put a small on him, double team off of him, and no one else that got the ball was able to make plays. And that really showed tonight. The Ingram absence was big, but also just their inability to make open shots. 49 potential assists tonight for the Lakers. They only convert 18 of those. It's a lot of wide open looks they missed.
This comes down to DNA. And what does yours say that you are? The Clippers are a grinded out team. And they just ground and pound the Lakers into submission right up until the very end of this game. That's why one team is on a playoff trajectory and the other one is falling fast. I mean, and I don't want to be an alarmist here, but how many more of these types of games can you take if you're the Lakers before you start to recognize that you're burning LeBron's candle at the wrong end down the stretch of the season if there's no shot for the playoffs?
I'm not sure I would have needed to get this far, really, to recognize it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. When you talk to people around the Clipper organization, very open heading into this game, the Lakers' best will beat our best. But we play our best every night. And I think that's a really meaningful thing. To the point you were making about the Clippers, their DNA is you're going to have to beat us. You're going to have to take it from us. And you just don't feel that from this Laker group.
Well, for those who missed the showdown at Staples, let's go ahead and get you guys to 21 points as they pull away to win it 113-105. They're now 5 games ahead of the Lakers, which also means the Lakers are 5 games out of the playoff picture.
Not what they were looking for, Sekou.
Yeah, well.
Whew, I feel steady.
There they are.
There you go.
There they are, Kuzma. How are the ankles?
I feel steady. I feel strong.
All right.
Yeah.
Look,
I'm ready.
You can't give that kind of defensive effort and expect to win basketball games this league. I don't care who you are. But we watched 3 or 4 instances there where not only did LeBron not move to cut off the guy with the ball headed to the basket, no one did. That is a recipe for disaster in this league.
Well, and it also it speaks to they hang their heads very quickly when things start to go badly, and they've done that now for a while. And I think what happens when you've got 49 potential assists as a team and only convert 18, and LeBron has 24 potential assists and they only convert 6, it's very deflating. You can only miss so many open shots, and unfortunately that carried over to the defensive side tonight.
At what point do we see now a drastic move made? Perhaps the firing of Luke Walton.
I don't think they do that now during the season. I just don't see how you could hold him individually responsible for what exists there now. That may happen, but I don't think you'll see that. I do think what you could see is some very real, very candid conversation about LeBron not playing as many minutes and maybe not playing at all once it becomes fairly clear that they're not going to dig out of this hole.
To me, that's the only move you have left to preserve anything from this season is to make sure you don't put LeBron's body in jeopardy down the stretch of the season if you're not battling for a playoff spot. I don't know if you can hold Luke accountable for some of this. Certainly everybody's going to shoulder some blame. But, boy, the individual effort and the pride that's just lacking in terms of how you play defense is alarming if you're a Lakers fan.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't point out, Rajon Rondo stepped up to the plate tonight. He recognized Brandon Ingram being out meant that they had a deficiency in playmaking.
Yeah.
And he turned back the clock a little bit tonight. A triple-double tonight, 24 points, 15 assists. He was sensational tonight and kept them in the game throughout much of the first half.
Well, when we come back, the highlights continue with the Utah Jazz hosting Anthony Davis and the Pelicans on this game night Monday. Game Time, presented by Kia, continues next.